Hello gentle ladies and gentlemen, my name is Ari and this is Dungeon Defenders, a game which I feel hasn't got the press and the publicity that it deserves, but I'm going to go ahead and give my 2 pence on this game anyway. What is Dungeon Defenders? Dungeon Defenders is an action tower defense RPG where you have the freedom and the ability to play this game either as an action game, a tower defense game, or a mixture of both. The one common factor throughout any type of game that you play it as is the RPG factor. So who are our main protagonists in this adventure? Well, we have 4 separate classes. You have the Squire, the Apprentice, which is the one I'm playing as right now in this video, the Huntress, and the Monk. So the Squire is your main tank character, wielding a sword, has very physical defenses, things like barriers, spin traps, and harpoons. The Apprentice, as you see right now as I'm playing, is more orientated around magical towers. He has, as I'm about to put up, magic missiles, flame magic missiles, and he has magic barriers and magic shields as well. The Huntress, which is actually the main class that I play, is another ranged character like the Apprentice. Her main traps are things like proximity mines, gas traps, and inferno traps. And lastly is the Monk, which is more a hybrid, I would say, of the Squire and the Apprentice. By using left and right click, he can both melee attack and range attack, and his main form of traps are auras, so things like slowing auras, which slow enemies down as they pass through it, lightning auras that shock them, and even to a later date is enraged aura, which actually will make enemies turn against each other as they go through it and makes your job a lot easier. So what are the advantages of this game? Well, as mentioned before, you can play as any style you like. You can play it as an action, as a tower defense, or as both. I personally am building a very hybrid set of characters. As you'll see, I show both me playing it as an action and me going up and shooting people with the staff, or me letting my towers do most of the work, and then a mixture of both as the waves get more difficult later on. This game has 4-player co-op, and that is, I think, probably the biggest pull factor of the game, and it is as fun playing single player as it is playing 4-player co-op. And I think the main way the game does this is, although you play the same levels, it adapts the difficulty depending on who's in the game. So say wave 1 has 8 enemies and wave 2 has 20 enemies. Say your friend jumps in at the end of wave 1, so instead of having 20 enemies, you'll now have 35 enemies. So the game is really clever in adapting as to who's joined and what characters you're using. Another thing is that the developers have not lost touch with this game. There is constant patching to this date, which I think it's only been out for about 2 to 3 weeks. There have been 7 patches released to try and fix all the bugs and to make the game easier for the users. It is massively user friendly. They have really listened to people and they've done an incredible job with the patching as of late. The other thing is the price. This game, in an era where games cost you $29.99 and $39.99, I'm talking pounds here, this game cost me on pre-order £8.99. It costs you now on Steam £9.99 or 1200 Microsoft points. That is dirt cheap for the amount of content and the amount of gameplay that you get. I've clocked in something in the region between 30 and 40 hours on this game already, more than games that I've paid sort of 30, 40 quid for. So in my opinion, value for money, bang for your buck. This is definitely a game for you to get. There is a Borderlands-esque weaponry in this game. I know that seems quite complicated, but many of you must realise Borderlands was a game released in PC not so long ago and for console. What it built itself on was this random generated weapon drop. In this game you have different types of weapons. For example, there are numerous types of bows and guns which have different special effects in themselves, but the stats that you get when you pick them up from either enemies that you've killed or from chests which you find along the way, those stats are different every time. And it's not just, for example, what it's just damages. You have normal base damage, you have elemental damage, you have knockback, you have things like reload speed, and all of these are randomly generated as you pick up new items, which I think is gives you so much replayability and just keeps you coming back for more and more and more. It's not just you grinding out to gain levels so you can use better traps. This is you playing through the harder levels to get better and new weapons. And not only that, but you can upgrade weapons. As you'll see in this video, I go and deposit a lot of spare mana into my bank. Now what you can do with that spare mana, as I show in the video, is you can upgrade your weapons and your armor. And whatever skills are available to you, you can increase them and make them better. So what may seem like a sort of pretty average weapon when you pick it up can become massively powered, and it is orientated down to you, as in how you want to play the game. You can set it up. And obviously the RPG element where you can update your own stats. So you have two sets of stats available to you. You have your hero stats, which is things like hero health, hero damage, hero speed, and hero hero casting rate. You then have your traps RPG element, which is things like tower health and tower damage and tower attack rate and tower radius, for example. So you can, as I said, you have the freedom to choose and to play the game as you want. I'm gonna go ahead and talk about the disadvantages now. I have to say, I do. It may seem like I'm being very biased to this game, but in general honesty, I think there is only one very major issue with the game, and that is the idea of an OP character. I mentioned the Squire was your tank character. In my opinion, the Squire is massively OP. The reason that I think it's massively overpowered is that you can literally place two traps at two choke points leading to a crystal, for example, called a slice and dice trap, and that will kill everything around you. And it's basically a mana farming character, and I will not lie to you, I have on numerous occasions thought, let's go ahead and create a Squire, let's get all the mana I can, but again, they're working on it, they're patching, they're nerfing, which is a really good thing, and it's really nice to see developers sticking with such an incredible game. The other thing is the difficulty curve is quite huge, in a sense that the first level, as I've just played, is relatively easy. The second level, you're going to need to ground through the first level quite a lot to get to a stage where you can solo the second level quite easily, if you're not a Squire. So similar games to this, I'd say games like Orcs Must Die and Trenched. If you've been jonesing for a multiplayer experience of Orcs Must Die, this is the game for you. Everybody has been complaining about it. This is the game that you should buy. So what's my conclusion? Well, for $9.99, this game's absolutely incredible. For bang for your buck, this has an incredible amount of content for you getting. It is so good that it has so many balanced characters, so many different types of people that you can pick, facilitates for all gameplay styles, and I would recommend anybody to go and buy this game if they've got £9.99. This video is coming to an end. This is Ari, over and out.